The first time I set eyes on the PSA, my first thought was, oh my goodness, I'm never going to remember all of that. Much to my relief, I soon realized it was based in common sense and easy to use. As I worked my way through the first assignment, it began to feel very familiar. That was when I realized that I had been using this approach without realizing it for a wide variety of things. When I planned a trip for my family, when I wrote my resume, and even when I prepared my taxes, I was using it. Over the next few minutes, I'm going to explain what the PSA is, review the steps, show how I used it to create one of my assignments, and tell you what was successful about it. I will also share what I learned about myself as a writer and illustrate what I have discovered about effective communication. Wondering why you should listen to me? The simple answer is I am you. I'm a full-time writing student, mom, wife, and business owner. I understand where you are and the challenges that come with your responsibilities. I face the same ones on a daily basis. The PSA is the problem-solving approach. This is a strategy for producing technical documents in a variety of genres that are professionally and credibly produced. To me, it's a common sense, step-by-step plan. It breaks down to 5 basic steps: plan, research, draft, review, and distribute. Are you wondering what those mean? When you plan, you are making your decisions about the audience, purpose, and format of your communication. Research is finding what you need to know to produce it. Drafting is producing your communication. Review is for double checking that you followed your plan and that there are no errors. This is also where you get outside feedback. Finally, distribute is for getting it to your readers. This could be email, memo, hard copy, or virtually. This is an assignment I completed using the PSA approach. The assignment was to create a proposal memo to an organization I'm involved in. The goal was to propose a change to solve a problem we felt needed changed. The format and general purpose were assigned. Everything else was up to us to decide. The following slides will show the specifics of each PSA step as I discuss how I used them. I started out already knowing what my reason, purpose, and format were. My stakeholders or audience were decided when I chose my problem. In order to propose a change, they needed to be the decision makers. Ethics were a big consideration. If ignored, my credibility with my audience would have been lost. Next, I had to decide what information I needed to compose the proposal. And finally, what technology would I use to produce it? Since the change I proposed was directly related to our business, I already had a great deal of the information I needed. The little I did need was readily available at trade-related websites and in publications related to them. After I had the information, it had to be organized into a usable order, checking to see if there were any holes that I needed to fill with more research. I started drafting by rereading the assignment instructions and putting my information into the order I would use it. This gave me the basic structure of the proposal. This is where I finally wrote the first draft, integrating my information and design choices as I went. Finally, visuals are usually added at the end. In this case, I didn't see that visuals would have aided it because the audience was as well versed as I in the subject. To test feasibility and solicit feedback, I submitted a first draft to the peer review discussion board. This gave me a great sense of reader reaction and a fresh set of eyes who knew what the assignment was. I also submitted a second draft to an online writing tutor. This gave me great ideas and caught errors I had overlooked. Based on the feedback from these, I revised the draft to come up with a final draft. After a read-through to check for errors, I moved on to the next step. Since this was a class assignment, my method of delivery was to submit it, the purpose statement, and audience analysis into the Dropbox. However, this is not where that step ends. I had to ensure that it was received by checking the gradebook in Dropbox to make sure that it was listed. Finally, I downloaded my instructor's feedback after it was graded. This was my way of checking its effectiveness and her response to it. The PSA was a successful tool for me for a few reasons. To start with, it breaks what can seem to be a big and overwhelming job into smaller steps. Next, it guides my focus as a writer. I tend to focus solely on the content. This shifts my focus to the purpose and audience in the beginning and then to the content. It also stops me from overlooking not so little things like ethics and feedback before distribution. And finally, it's versatile. It can apply to any genre of documents. I learned a lot about myself as a writer. Some of it was surprising. I kind of knew I needed to be more confident in promoting myself, but my feedback drove it home. I had doubts going in as to whether or not I could handle the accelerated speed of the course, and there were some hiccups, but I survived and did well at it. I was nervous about submitting my work for review, but that faded quickly as the useful feedback came in. I learned some surprising things about effective communication this semester. The most surprising was that regardless of the path your career takes you in, you will use and most likely have to create effective communication. To be effective, it takes good planning and multiple drafts. And most importantly, the audience drives the decisions about content, format, tone, and genre. Thank you for your time and indulgence. If you have any questions or comments, I would love to hear from you. Please feel free to use my email address on the slide to contact me. Have a wonderful rest of your day.